Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Bob Gumbs, and I'm here, host of the Concerned Forum, and I hope everybody's having a great day. And listen, let me see if I still have that. I'm always jotting things down, and my God, I jot down so many things I could have an encyclopedia. But it's something that really touched me, and I think that it's quite apropos to the times that we're living in. And basically, what it's about, hopefully, I'll find it before the end of today's show, that it's basically an admonition. I believe it's from the Talmud. And it's basically something that tells us we should not be afraid. And this was something I believe that Jehovah told all of the big guys, Moses, Abraham, everyone of that group of the people that we think of when we think of the Old Testament, theological giants, as it were. And it tells us not to be afraid. And then, of course, there's the admonition from FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, saying that the greatest thing that we have to fear is fear itself. So let me say here, Bob Gumbs of the Concerned Forum, stop being afraid. Stop being tense. Or, as they say on the block, chill out, okay? I know it's difficult. I know that that's easier said than done. I know as we look at this election, it has us going through a series of feelings, fear. It has us going through anxiety, even an upset stomach. And, looking at Donald Trump, I think that's quite understandable. But we can't let Mr. Trump and his antics poison our democratic process so much to the point that people just say, oh, well, the hell with it. I don't want to get involved. Guess what, folks? You gotta. Okay? Whether you're single, married, have children, or not, you have to get involved. Okay? You have to be there. Because, like it or not, as I tried to explain to a young lady some time back, who said that, oh, well, I just don't get into politics. And I said to her, well, you need to get into politics because either way, politics is going to get into you. And I believe that this is what this is all about. I believe that Donald Trump is basically trying to capitalize and build up his own some type of name brand, number one. Number two, I think that even if, God forbid, he does get elected, I don't think that he will really concern himself with actually what's going on. And to me, that's even scarier. Now, I look at it this way. This is a test. And unfortunately, it's a big test. It's an important test. you could say this is our finals, all right? And one of the things I find so amazing, for example, is this business with the charges of sexual assault. Actually, from all of his antics, this guy is actually bordering on rape, quite frankly. And I find it strange that, you have some of these people that, well, we're still sticking by Trump. And I'm just wondering, what does Trump have to do? At the next debate, does he actually have to bring a woman on stage and assault her for people to actually understand the monster that they're betting on? Now, you got to remember something. I go and I commit a crime. And then I'm caught on tape, on the air, describing the crime that I commit. And I'm saying, well, yeah, this is my thing. This is what I do. I go into little bakeries and I rob the guy behind the cash register. I take out my weapon and I tell him, give up the money, give up the dough, and then I walk out. That's usually at such and such a time, a particular type of area. And I'm giving you a play-by-play description of what it is that I do. So down the road, the subject comes up, and I have people accusing me of robbing bakeries. And then I'm going to stand up there and say, well, I would never do such a thing. Well, wait a minute. Hey, Jack, we just heard you regale your buddy with your antics of how you rob bakeries. Now, in my case, if that was me, I guarantee you I'd be cuffed, okay? But what I'm trying to understand is why in the hell does Donald Trump think that he can be caught making the admissions that he made and yet still think that folks are supposed to find him innocent? I think that's insanity. And I also believe that what people need to understand, we're not just talking about the whole abuse thing. I mean, yes, we are talking about that, but it's deeper than that. Because listening to this guy, you have a man that feels because he has a celebrity status and supposedly a certain amount of economic power, that he can essentially do what the hell he feels like doing to people. And that's the main thing. That's what I captured when he was on tape, okay? The idea that I'm Donald Trump and I can do what I damn well good and well feel like doing. And I noticed, I don't know if it's the oldest boy or the youngest. I don't know if it was the one that was shooting innocent animals in Africa. Well, one of his kids. He was on a radio show, and he made the comment that, talking about sexual harassment in the workplace, and he comes off with this, well, if a woman can't handle the sexual harassment where she's working at, she should quit. And I'm saying to myself as I hear this, I wonder where he gets his moral code from. The woman's harassed at the workplace, but yet it's her responsibility to give up her livelihood and have to find another job. That sound right to you? Now, of course, this kid's not running for president. Thank God. So far, we haven't sunk that low. Well, we're getting there. But, see, this is the type of mentality that I think Americans should find frightening. Another thing, this whole business, and it's very prevalent in the so-called red states, evangelicals, in particular white evangelicals. Now, I don't believe in stereotyping whole groups of people, especially being a black American man who has been the victim of stereotyping, who comes out of a community, out of a group of people that have been stigmatized, stereotyped, stigmatized, for what, about 400 years or so? So I'm the last person to try and to do that to another group. But I just find it so strange with evangelicals, you know, they're sitting there, they're hearing, yeah, well, you know, Donald grabbed my crotch. Donald leaped upon me and tried to force his tongue down my throat. That doesn't sound like seduction. That sounds like power play, closely akin to rape. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me, okay? And I'm pretty sure to the average woman out there that they would have a problem with that also. Yet the evangelicals, not all of them, but many of them will sit there and they'll say, well, at least he's not Hillary Clinton. And look at what Bill did. And it really starts to really bug me as to just what the hell is it that Donald Trump, I mean, I guess to certain people, what he said was true. He can stand up and shoot somebody in broad daylight and get away with it with these kind of people. Those type of evangelicals that have really bought into Donald Trump. Not all of them, okay? Just like you can't stereotype all white people in the United States as thinking a certain way. That would be wrong and quite detrimental. But there is a solid group of white evangelicals that believe that this guy can do no wrong. Why? Because he's going up against Hillary Clinton. And it just occurs to me, what in the hell that this woman ever did? I mean, I can understand them saying, well, look, I can't vote for either one. Now, that's wrong to do. But this constant pillorying, crucifixion of this woman, I'm sorry, I'm born and raised in this country. Okay, I know about the Clinton family just as much as you do. And they have done nothing to deserve this. And to set the record straight, I never heard Bill bragging, okay, about his, cheating on his wife. Because essentially that's the main thing that happened with that family, unfortunately. Bill roved. Many men in this country have done that. Okay? It's wrong to do that because it's wrong, but it's not, oh God, how can I put this? There's a hell of a big difference between being involved with a lady in a sexual relationship other than your wife. That's wrong. But when you're talking about a guy that forces himself upon women, that's a whole different story. And that's what the problem of Donald Trump is. That this guy has made his reputation here in New York being that kind of a guy. It's no damn secret. He's on television, he's been caught on radio, on interviews, saying the same thing. When was that, 19? I think it was 99. And who was it? Not Geraldo. Anyway, one of the well-known interviewers asked Trump about, running for public office. And what came out of his mouth? Oh, well, I've had too many problems with women. So I don't understand why this comes as a shock to anyone. The Republican Party, they put themselves in this predicament. Okay? They picked this guy. That's the first thing. Second thing, I have a problem with somebody that claims to be an evangelical Christian, but you find it acceptable. Obviously, you find it acceptable because you're still sticking with the guy. So in your mind, it's acceptable. Not only is the guy a racist and a sexist, but he's the kind of person that sits up and brags that he has the power to do things to people against their will. Where in the name of goodness is the Christian principle in that? I think that's why so many people outside of the evangelical community, how should we say, don't take you for real, honestly. Because this whole thing about, yes, Donald did some bad things through life, but he found God. And where did he find God at? Because it damn sure hasn't been on this campaign. This is the guy that, we know is a sexual predator, okay? He starts off his campaign saying that the first black president was a liar, that he was not an American. Absolutely no damn proof to the contrary. But that's how he rebirthed himself in the public eye after that stupid television show of his. Yeah, I said it. Stupid television show that really, to me, as far as I'm concerned, shows capitalism at its worst. Now, aside from that, he makes these comments about Mexicans, and you want to talk about stereotyping? You're going to condemn a whole group of people. And I don't think that, obviously, Trump couldn't tell a Mexican from a Guatemalan from a Colombian. So he's just putting out a whole dragnet. That's what would happen if he got elected, by the way. He would have his own practically federal secret police. Anybody that looks Hispanic would be in trouble. Believe me. Now, he calls for racism at the polls. Oh, you got to watch them polls in Philly, okay? Referring to black folks. We're going to somehow steal the election. This guy runs a bigoted, racist, stupid-ass campaign, but if he loses, he wants to blame us. So if he wins, the system is justified. If he loses, then of course the system is unfair. Now, another thing, I think that evangelicals, especially out there in so-called middle America, flyover country, however you want to phrase it, they make this big thing about loving the country, the flag, right? Here you are, you're supporting a guy. We don't know how deep he is in the pockets, in the hands of the ruler of the Soviet Union. Now, our intel folks, they know for a fact that Putin has been they're not trying, they have been getting involved in our election. And this guy, Trump, every other time he opens his mouth, he's praising Putin. He's praising a dictator. He's running for, do people understand this picture? Do they understand what's going on here? This guy's running for president of the United States, the republic by which it stands, all this good stuff. He's running to be president of that nation, the most powerful nation right now on the planet. And his models are a Russian dictator. The guy used to run the KGB. And that is his role model. Come on, people. Come on. I don't, you hate that much. You hate Hillary that much. And yet, just about almost every one of your senators who works with her says that she is the most competent person in the room. There's something here that's not jiving. And see, something else that really ticks me off. You talk about, I was getting ready to hit on it previously, that, Trump was, he did a lot of things back in the day, but he found God. And so he's forgiven because he found grace. Well, hey, is this, a special thing for Donald Trump? I mean, nobody else can get on the grace train? Hillary, Bill, they cannot find grace and forgiveness? That's what makes it so phony. And that's why I know of many people who are outside of the evangelical crew that say that basically the whole evangelical thing, especially out there in the middle of America, it's about racism, it's about sexism, it's about basically having your own way. That's what the whole thing with Trump and Bring America Back is about. And to hear Donald Trump standing up and screaming at the top of his lungs, supposedly fighting for Christianity, I think it's insane. It truly is. It is a joke. It is a tragic joke. Now, I don't understand how you can find God's grace and yet go out and basically character attack everyone that you come in contact with that doesn't look like you. And that's all this guy has really been doing. And another sad thing that I see, when I see people of color, I'll give you an example. Hold on a second. What's his face? Okay. Well, I called him the Dr. Mengele of the African American community. Okay, Dr. Ben Carson, brain surgeon. Now, I'm watching on TV where I see this. Supposedly, he is such a, man full of God. Well, I don't know about that. He's full of something, but God ain't it. Okay, but this guy is talking about it doesn't make any difference whether the 8 courageous women that are standing up and telling us how they had to deal with the predator Donald Trump. And Dr. Carson sits up there and says, well, it doesn't make any difference. It shouldn't make any difference. And, you talk about a double take? Oh, and whiplash? Wait a minute. You set yourself up as a moral judge, okay? So I assume when you're talking about morals, you're talking about right from wrong, okay? Your whole thing is that America needs a moral cleansing, okay? So you feel, excuse me, because this is hard work talking about Donald Trump, but you're talking about America needs a moral cleansing. Essentially, that's what you say. We got to get Obama out of the White House. The Democrats are morally unfit, blah, blah, blah. And I've heard you say that, okay? The whole thing is with you is morals, supposedly, right? So now you're telling me that a guy, it's not that, this is a very strange circumstance because it's not that we're, as a public, we're not accusing Donald Trump, but yet we are accusing him. because he is caught on tape not accusing himself, bragging about himself. So we have a guy that, he fits the description of a sexual predator. Now, you, Dr. Carson, Mr. Morals, because I noticed that over the last year, you have essentially set yourself up as the moral arbiter almost of the Trump campaign, keeping in mind the fact that originally Trump said that you were a nutcase. Remember the whole thing with, was it attacking your mom or something like that with a knife? He didn't think, as we say in the Navy, that you were carrying the full sea bag. Put it that way, okay? So now you're sitting up there, Mr. Morals, Dr. Morals, excuse me, and you're saying that this guy that we know is a sexual predator, that we have 8 witnesses, 8 victims who are telling us, yes, he did it, and we're just the ones that you know about. You're telling us that it doesn't matter. Okay. So I can see you as an evangelical. Basically, that's the crew that you roll with. Basically, you're one of the few black people, black men in the public eye that can easily move in the world move in the white evangelical world. All those moral, honorable people. You roll with them. And going back to what I said earlier, the whole thing is morals, according to you and them. That we are screwed up because America has taken a moral left turn that really bothers you and your evangelical friends. Morals, morals, morals. And I know that some of you out there probably are very tired and angry and upset at me repeating the word, but I will continue to do so. Morals, morals, morals. That's your whole thing, Dr. Carson and evangelicals. Morals, morals, morals. And yet, because you want to see this guy as president, you are totally willing, totally happy to say now, well, yeah, because it freaked me out so much that I wrote it down somewhere. That whether he did it or not, it doesn't make any difference, and should have in no way bear on this campaign. So that's what you and your evangelical followers believe, that him being a sexual predator, a self-proclaimed sexual predator, that doesn't mean anything. It makes no difference. It should not make any difference to we, the American voters. And you get, you and your evangelical friends, you get hostile, you get antagonistic, you get kind of itchy, when people call you out on your so-called evangelical beliefs. Do you understand why now? Huh? Do you understand why there are many in the American public that think you are full of it? Do you understand why? Can you spell hypocrisy? That's the problem. Now, this guy, as we see, he's a sexual predator that tests black Americans, that tests Mexicans, wants to put American Muslims, if he suspects them of anything, put them in some type of concentration camp and stop all the rest of the Muslims from coming into the country. And he has no respect for veterans, in spite of all the crap that he talks. How in the hell can you tell us that you respect America's veterans when you take John McCain, and I know people say, well, I bring it up a lot. How can you talk so much about John McCain and you don't agree with any of his politics? The reason I can is because, like John McCain, I am also a Navy man, number one, who has served this country. And I respect that man's service. And those are the two things that I have in common with John McCain. And it really angers me that a draft dodger like Donald Trump, who was able to avoid the draft, have anything to do with the military 6 times because he claimed he had a boo-boo on his foot, okay? That someone like this has the audacity, the arrogance to sit up there and talk about patriotism, loyalty, courage. Who in the hell is Donald Trump and anyone who wants to hold his coat? Who the hell are you to talk about a brave man? John McCain has more guts in his, that little fingernail right there, little sucker right there. He's got more guts in that than you have in your whole. I'll chill because I know inadvertently young people might watch this. You are no one to criticize John McCain. What he did, that's what being an American military person is all about. And that is nothing that you could ever possibly understand, Donald Trump. Oh, and how dare you disrespect and accuse them of being weak, the guys that play in the NFL. Who are you? Is that Donald on the line? Is trying to curse me out? Oh no, I just got some more messages. Probably hate mail from some right wingers for all I know. But anyway, you're going to call the guys who play in the NFL weak? I think they're pretty damn brave. And you know what? I can assure you that they don't. What did you call that garbage that we caught you saying on the bus to Billy Bush? Locker room talk. These guys, they're telling you left and right that no, this is not the kind of conversations that we have in the locker room. I wonder how much sports you played, Donald. Talking about locker room. And then getting back to that weak thing, NFL players, they know there's a problem. Catastrophic, head injuries, how it affects the brains. One of those guys, in his greatest moment of fear, confusion, depression, shot himself right in the pump. And you know what he left behind? His last will? Take my brain so that maybe the doctors can find out what went wrong. And these are the kind of men that you would call weak. And then, on top of that, as I said earlier, our intel people find out that for some odd reason, the head of the Russian government is interested in disrupting our elections in your favor. And you can't praise the guy enough. You tell the whole world that you think that Putin is a better leader than our president, and how you admire Putin so much. Now, Putin is, I tell you one thing, if Barack Obama was a little more Putin-like, I doubt you'd be alive now. Better yet, that huge fortune that you claim you have, if Barack Obama was like Putin, how long, and you ran your mouth like the way you do, how long do you think you would be able to hold on to that fortune staying in this country? So I think that you need to thank your creator that Barack Obama is not like Putin. We don't exterminate journalists in this country, which, quite frankly, I think is a damn good reason to keep you out of the White House. And to my evangelical friends out there talking about forgiveness, tell me something. Again, I ask, is grace, God's love, is that only reserved for Donald Trump? Cannot Hillary Rodham Clinton also be the beneficiary of God's grace and God's everlasting love? Again, this is why folks take your evangelical fervor with a big handful of salt. Because you seem to basically spread God's grace to who you feel should benefit or have the benefit of God's grace. And the attitude, the position that you folks have taken in this electoral contest is, to me, is very reminiscent of what happened to the Protestant churches, Baptists, what have you, at the beginning of the Civil War. Because remember, you come out of a tradition that essentially split itself in half because you felt that somehow slavery and the idea of an inferior race was a good thing, that it was there in the Bible, that's what God wanted. And your attitude now, in 2016, to me, it's very reminiscent of that type of attitude. So, what is it? Hillary was a senator from a blue state. So, what is it? Is that it? Because she represented my state, New York. So therefore, you can forgive Donald Trump, but you can't forgive her. Well, wait a minute. Donald Trump is from New York also. So, see, you got me, again, you got me there. Okay. Well, what is it now? Unfortunately, as well, you folks are church folks, a lot of people have troubled marriages. Doesn't make them bad people. None of it makes them bad people. And she chose to stick with her husband and work things out. So some of the women that were bringing accusations. Well, she didn't bake them cookies and offer them a glass of milk. Well, guess what? She was a woman, a wife, fighting to keep her family together. She was fighting to keep her man and try and get him straight. And you would condemn her for that? Look, let me tell you something. Let's be clear here, all right? In the past contest in the Democratic Party, I was for Bernie Sanders, man, straight up, okay? Because I liked what he was saying. I liked his ideas. I was very happy with some of the points that he made about the inequalities in our society, due to the fact that I've been on the bottom half for quite some time. So yeah, I was with Bernie. But and I have problems with how that whole primary thing was run. But I'm a Democrat. That's the Democratic Party. We got issues. We're human. All right? Hillary won the nomination. Okay? Again, has she done things politically? I think she was wrong as hell to believe George Bush Jr. and have us invade Iraq. But that wasn't her call. She chose to support the president. And that was a mistake that she made. But wait a minute. You folks out there, all you evangelicals out there in red state America, middle America, you guys did the same thing. As I remember, that start of that war was quite popular. There were a lot of people that were against it. But no one was being castigated or anything for supporting the president. And that's what she did. And I guess also the pressure of being the senator from New York, where we got hit at the World Trade Center, yeah, I can see why she did that. And I can see how she did that. It was wrong. Okay? It was a wrong move. But that's what happens. We had a president and an administration that basically fed us a line of crap. And some very good, competent people got scorched by Vice President Cheney and his demonic rush to have us invade Iraq. And unfortunately, in my opinion, George Bush Jr. Fell for the intel. I just don't think that he was up to that particular task. And that wound up being, I know, the worst disaster in American foreign policy history so far in this century. And yeah, a lot of people got caught up in that, and that's unfortunate. And what's even more unfortunate is all the dead, the maimed, those that lost their mind. War is a horrible thing. That's another reason, by the way, the idea of Trump running to the White House. And see, I've been there, okay? I spent 11 years in the Navy, and I did 5 of that 11 with the Defense Intelligence Agency as an intelligence technician with a top secret clearance. Prepared briefings for the President of the United States, the Vice President, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and other research. And prepared documents for media, for the media, and maybe a few other things that really I'm not going to bother going into. So when I say that the idea of Trump being let loose in the White House, in the White House basement, in the Pentagon, is a terrible, frightening thought, I know a little bit about what I speak. So let's cross that whole thing about Hillary signing off on the invasion of Iraq. Okay, that was a group mistake, put it that way, and we recognize that now. You know, she acted. As far as the thing with Benghazi, I'm sorry, folks. This whole business about is she trying? And that's another thing about you folks there on the right, the evangelicals and what have you. You try to tie everything together because I notice you guys. You talk about her trying to enable Bill Clinton, and then somehow that gets all tied into that thing that happened in their first Whitewater. You know, it's like that with you guys. Everything ties in together. You know, you try to tie everything that you possibly can to Hillary. And I noticed that about you folks and this hate Hillary business. And I tell you something else too. It does make you very despicable. I understand your evangelical credentials. I'm just calling it like I see it. Benghazi was a terrible thing. I think that it happened because you had a brave guy who was leading that, I believe, that team, and he was a bit overzealous. And he put his trust in Libyan security. And I could see how that happened. You have a lot of moving parts going very rapidly. But you know, it's a funny thing. I notice about you folks on the right. And if it seems like I'm kind of mixed up, I'm going from evangelicals to right wing, it's because the way you folks have packaged yourself, you're one and the same. And you show this animosity, this hatred towards Hillary about this whole Benghazi business. Well, I don't hear you screaming about, what is it, over 5,000 people that we lost in Bush Jr.'s invasion of Iraq. There's something wrong with that picture. And those 4 guys that were killed in Benghazi, guys, as far as I'm concerned, anytime you shed your blood for America overseas and you're trying to do the right thing, you're a hero. I know how it feels to be lonely and afraid, and you're overseas. I remember the night when I was on the Nimitz that we thought we were going to have to fight the whole nation of Libya because you had just 2 of us out there. I believe it was the Nimitz, us, and I think it was USS Texas, facing down Gaddafi's whole Air Force. So I know a little bit about that fear, which, Mr. Trump, that's something that you have absolutely no right to speak of. But I just find it so unusual that you guys can try and crucify Hillary over the deaths of 4 good, brave Americans. But what about the over 5,000 that were killed because Bush sent us off on this, and Cheney sent us off on this wild goose chase in Iraq? I don't get that. I don't hear nothing about that, except when you try to tie Hillary to it by signing on like like a whole bunch of other congressmen and senators did. And then somehow in the same sentences or same paragraph, Whitewater pops up, which was proven nothing happened. Oh, and the other thing about her laughing because some poor beaten woman, as unfortunately happens with working class women in the red states, unfortunately. Her life was a mess. Apparently she felt that she was the victim of rape, which is horrible, horrible. I mean, I have a daughter, and if that ever happened to her, I don't think I'd be able to sit here with a nice shirt and tie because I'd probably be in jail for killing the son of a bitch. So I'm not going to make light of that incident. But it's wrong for you people to try and use that against Hillary because she was simply a lawyer defending her client. And that's what a lawyer is supposed to do. And see, this is why, that's what makes you people so dangerous. Because you try the things that people do in life, you try to use that as a cudgel to beat them with. And that ain't right. And now your hero has been found to be desperately lacking any sense of morality, any sense of fair play, any sense of right and wrong, any sense of empathy. But that's okay. He's worthy of God's grace, but Hillary's not. You know what would be a cool trick? I mean, I doubt it would happen. So far, what I've done for Hillary, I've gone down to Pennsylvania to register people, to help them register people to vote. That whole type of thing. So I have no voice on the campaign. But you know what would be real sweet? Trump, this is the thing about Donald Trump. You take everything and you bring it down to the least common denominator. You take us into the trash, Donald. Now, you brought those ladies to that second debate. Suppose Hillary brought those 5 young black and Latino men who were vindicated after spending so many years in jail behind the Central Park rape. Suppose she trotted those men to the front row in the next debate. Wonder how you'd like that. Or those 8 valiant women who are telling the world about the crud that you really are. Suppose she did that. Suppose she did both. The Valiant 8, I call them those ladies the Valiant 8, and the Central Park 5. Suppose she brought both of those groups to the debate. How would you feel about that, Donald? How would you evangelicals feel about that? How would those black and Latino quislings, look up quisling, okay? And these were Norwegians in World War II. Remember the Nazis, they took and held Norway for quite some time. I don't think Norway, when was Norway liberated? 44? Early 45? Well, anyway, they had a prime minister, Quisling, and he was essentially a bootlicker for the Nazis. If I'm not mistaken, they shot him at the end of the war. But that's what I look upon African Americans that support Trump, quite frankly. And those in the Republican Party, well, look, I grew up in a Republican family. My dad was a district leader for the Republican Party in Harlem. And I can understand how black people could be Republican. But I think that those who are Republican need to understand this is not the same party of the early 60s. This is a whole different ball game. And I just hope that you understand. I hope you find your way. That's the best way I can put it. And God bless you. A lot more needs to be said, but I'm rapidly running out of time. Let's just say that we're going through some extremely rough time. This is not politics as usual. This is a very, we're going through a very dangerous, a very sad time. And what we need to do, quite frankly, we need to remember what this country stands for, what it's supposed to be about. We're supposed to be getting better as we move forward. We're not supposed to be moving backwards. I was so touched by the speech that the First Lady of the United States made. It was excellent. I think that as far as having a couple carry themselves with class and dignity, we can't do any better than Michelle and Barack Obama. Does that mean that I agree with everything and I'm in lockstep with everything that the president says or does? No, I am not. I can guarantee you that. But overall, and when you look at people in politics, that's what you have to do. Same thing with Hillary. There's quite a few things that I might not see eye to eye with her, but she has been out there in her own way, fighting for the cause of trying to make this a country that all of us, regardless of our color or background, can be proud of. I think that what Donald Trump is trying to do is pathetic. And I hope and I pray that we pull through this in one piece. Listen, great talking with you folks. Hope to do it again. See you next week. And this is Bob Gumbs for the Concerned Forum. Peace.